Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. It's your boy Illeagle 86 back as always with my good friends Techtic and Nerdbomber, cruising into the month of May. This comes out April 30th. I always forget which months have 31 days, but I know because I looked at the calendar this week that April has 30 days. So that you're listening to this on the last day of April because, of course, you listened to it as soon as it dropped.
It's so that there's less showers.
We're going into May. More Mayflowers. May is the best month in the year. I'm planting my flag.
No, I disagree
statement.
so hard.
May is so busy.
Consider Memorial Day.
Exactly.
May is not even fun.
Memorial Day.
It's a long weekend as you're just getting into summer.
But Memorial Day is the long weekend in which you do all of your patio shit, your landscaping.
Yeah, it's like
shit.
a working weekend.
It's
I already put the patio furniture out, man. I'm done. I'm good.
Mulch?
I have not yet mulched. You're bumming me out. You're bumming me out. Now, we talked about this off the air.
deck?
I have not washed anything. I actually today, though, and we talked about this off the air. Today was the first mow. The first lawn mow of the year took place on this day that we are recording this podcast, which I believe is April 28th. So I don't know where it sits in terms of whether it's later or earlier than I usually do it, but man, I want to take that satisfaction that I get from the first mow, looking out over my yard, with my hands on my hips.
How many mows until you're over it?
I want to bottle that. How many what?
Mows until you're over it.
How many mows until I don't even understand that
the
joke.
First mow is satisfying. You're like, yep.
How many?
Damn! I just want the grass to stop growing.
Probably like 2. Yeah, like it's not very many. Like probably the next time I do it, I'll be like, man, I don't want to do this all summer. But the first mow, perfect climate. The grass was a great consistency. I ran through it in an hour 15, which for my yard, which is fairly large, is pretty good. And I also did some trimming.
I feel like your yard is rife for a riding lawnmower. How do you feel about a riding lawnmower? This is like the most dad opener we have ever had, so bear with me.
I'm sure it's not. If you check the tape, I'm sure there's other daddish openers. I'm not anti-riders, but my lawn could not support a riding lawnmower because it's so bumpy. I will die.
I feel like that would just make it more fun.
Fun in what way? Because I think it would just be...
It's like a wild ride.
Because it's a big plate of blades, so I agree.
I hear you, but it would be a wild ride.
I'm not looking to be on a mechanical bull whenever I do yard work. That sounds bad for my joints and just for my general well-being.
Like if you have like a lot of juts and things, like you kind of need a smaller mower deck.
Many juts. I got juts for days out here. I prefer the push mower. If I lock in with like a podcast, much like this one, I put the headphones on. I just start grinding. It's good. It gets me outside. It gets me on my feet. It's good. It's good, like mild cardiovascular activity. And it's not pleasant most of the time, but it could be worse, I guess, is where I'm landing. I don't like trimming. That's the thing that I like the least. And I don't do it as much because it vibrates my arms. And I know that's a weird complaint, but I don't like my arms being vibrated. It makes me uncomfortable. So shout out to trimming, not great. I have not mulched yet. That is the single worst activity. That's like the worst weekend of my life every year. So thank you for bringing that up.
It's always Memorial Day weekend. That's why it's terrible.
Oh, brother. If you're mulching on Memorial Day weekend, you're too late. All right. The good hardware sale. The hardware stores have the best deals. Probably now is when you're supposed to get your mulch.
The 2 for $6 deal.
You're getting your mulch for 2 for $6. You're blowing it. 2 for $4. Try 2 for $4. All right. We're talking probably first weekend of May. Probably this coming weekend. You get out there and get your mulch.
You know, it sounds like we procure now, mulch later.
Why don't we just change the podcast entirely to be a dad lawn mowing podcast? Because it feels like we could just feels like we could just go for Nerdbomber. Have you mowed before?
Yeah, I've mowed. I don't like it unless it's a rider. So when we moved into our house,
we have a push. She sits on top of it.
No. So there's the self-propel push mower, and then there's just the standard push mower. Right. And like the difference in cost was like $20, and Techtic was like, "No, we're not doing the self-propelled."
You don't have a wait. Whoa!
It is a self-propelled straight push.
It is horrible. Propelled. I don't need that propelled nonsense.
It is a horrible.
I don't.
Your house is for real men.
My house is not for real men. My house is not for real men because I have a self-propelled and it's fantastic. That's crazy. You might as well just take out the engine entirely and have one of those little sticks that has the blades on the end that you're just pushing around like it's the 1940s.
That's what I said.
Like, That's insane. I don't even know how to process that. Nerdbomber, did you grow up with a rider?
We had a rider and also a self-propelled lawnmower because the backyard was the rider. My dad would kind of do the front, but like we had big pine trees, and to get between them, you couldn't ride.
Tight radiuses.
Well, no, it was like to get under them, you needed the push mower.
Right. It's a vertical space thing, not a radius thing.
Right.
I've never ridden on a riding lawnmower.
Oh, it's a good time.
I'm sure it's
you have
fine,
a little lemonade in your hand, and you have your headphones on. You got one hand on the wheel, and you're cruising. It's great.
Again, if I were to try to mow my lawn in any capacity with a lemonade in my hand, it'd be spilled within 20 seconds completely.
Well, I mean, you're not a rube. You have a lidded cup. Duh.
I think I am a rube. I mean, in most respects. Lemonade season's coming. Lawn mowing season is upon us. Plan accordingly. But this week, we got a couple movie trailers to dig into. We have a video game remaster to dig into, which, I was thinking about video game remasters today because I was actually listening back to our episode about the Tony Hawk Pro Skater remasters. And I think from the jump, I've kind of always been a remasters good kind of guy. But never has there been a better time to feel that way, I think. I think that remasters are good. I think that, well, let's just dig right into this. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Now, everyone knows. When I say Elder Scrolls, you say what?
Skyrim.
Skyrim is like it's the Elder Scrolls 5, I think. It's like the one that came out the most recently. I think Elder Scrolls 6 has been in development for like 20 years or something. Mm-hmm. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion directly preceded Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim, obviously. Skyrim was, when it came, it's all very situational, because when Skyrim came out, I was in college. And when you're in college and a video game comes out that's successful, I feel like you especially hear about it.
Did you play Skyrim?
I have not played either of these games. I'm not an RPG guy.
I played Skyrim.
What I will tell you is that my older brother is a big RPG guy, and when Oblivion came out, we were both in high school. So I kind of just absorbed Oblivion in a secondhand way. But I will say, Oblivion looked very appealing in every respect except for the fact that it was such a heavy RPG. Oblivion, very notably, when I look at Oblivion versus Skyrim, I feel like the difference here, and correct me if I'm wrong, is no dragons. There's no dragons shouting. It's not winter. It's just good old-fashioned medieval times fun, essentially. Bringing this game back now and bringing the remaster back now, I think makes sense for a bunch of reasons. I think the fact that this game originally came out in 2006 means that it was due for a spit shine. And I can very much appreciate a studio like Bethesda going back to this property and saying, hey, this was really, really good. We poured a lot of work and effort into this game, and a lot of people would consider the original game to be, maybe masterpiece is putting it too intensely, but
people
I think
loved it though.
Yeah, I think if you're proud of this product and it's within your abilities to give it a spit shine and give it to people who may not have the wherewithal to go back and play a game from 2006, you should absolutely do that. I think
this is more than a spit shine. I mean, they completely redid all of the graphics in Unreal Engine 5. They updated, I think, some of the leveling systems. They've merged and kind of combined some of Oblivion with some of Skyrim. They've added sprinting. They've upgraded the UI and UX of the games. It is a lot more than a facelift. If you look at even graphically, it looks like a game that would have come out today, which is crazy. Typically, when you think of a remaster, they kind of smooth out some of the polygons, but it looks like they built from the ground up a ton of these assets.
Yeah, I have seen it referred to, and again, I don't have a horse in this race. I won't be buying this game by any stretch of the imagination. But I have seen it referred to as a remake rather than a remaster, just because it feels so ground up reconsidered, which again is great. And as much as I'm saying remasters are great across the board, not all remasters are created equal. I think there are some that are very seriously considered with the original material in mind, and there are some that are, a spit shine that's kind of thrown out the door, and let's see if we can make some extra money from this thing we already put together. It certainly seems like this is the former rather than the latter. Comes with expansion packs that were originally paid parts of the original game. Those are included in the remastered edition. I should have looked this up beforehand. I don't know how much this costs right now. Do you guys happen to know? I mean, you guys are Game Pass girlies, so maybe you don't. but
yeah, I saw. So the cool thing about this was that they said that it was basically launched immediately after they announced this as part of their little reveal trailer. It was like, it's available today. And it's also available on Game Pass. So I don't know the price because I saw it was going to be on Game Pass and I was like, sick. But it looks like it is
$50 on the PlayStation Store right now.
Yeah, sorry for the pores. Get Game Pass.
Honestly, though, for the amount of content here, if you've never played an Elder Scrolls game or if you've never played Oblivion,
it's massive. It's extremely large.
Like for $50, especially when I feel like over the last few weeks, we've talked about games going up in price and up in price. I mean, like Mario Kart's going to be $80. And in terms of the amount of unique content in this game, it's probably going to surpass many of the games that you would buy for full price, like $60, $70 today. So it's a decent deal considering everything has been overhauled.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is a game, and I think Skyrim falls into the same category. If they ever remaster Skyrim, it's going to be the same thing. You're getting so much game for $50, and I do think this is a win-win for everyone involved. I'm not an RPG guy, so I'm not going to go back and do this, but like, I will say it's doing everything in its power to try and entice me. Like I think, like you said, the visuals look great. The score in the trailer was bumping. It was a great story trailer. I think it's a story I would engage with if the gameplay was more so my speed, and unfortunately it's not. But like, when you look at the gaming landscape of today, and I'm in particular inclined to like think about how great was it Baldur's Gate 3, whichever one came out, like it did huge numbers. Like that's a very similar in a lot of ways, like fantasy heavy RPG, and it did really well. And I have to imagine that Bethesda looked at that and said, okay, there's an appetite for a remaster of Oblivion. What I think a lot of people should be asking, if they're not, is what does this mean for Elder Scrolls 6? Because like, again, hasn't that been in development for like 100 years? I would, if I was an Elder Scrolls fan, maybe be not thrilled to see like, Bethesda is instead spending their resources on.
No, I don't think it's an instead of. I think it's an in addition to.
Well, they had help from an outside studio as well, who kind of like specializes in remasters and remakes to do this. So I feel like the creative team, especially since all the story stuff was laid out, like their resources, they probably just had to like look stuff over and be like, okay, you didn't F it up. Keep going.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
There's that. Don't get upset that it's the other stuff still coming. And then as for me personally, this is something that I'm absolutely into. I've been looking for a new RPG to get into. Skyrim upset me, so even if they ever remaster that, I'm never going back to that. And so this feels like the scope that I can just get in on the ground floor. And with, like Nerdbomber said, the upgrades and the quality of life that they added, I'm in.
Well, so what upset you about Skyrim? Is it? I don't want to get personal, but like, what did
it was a bonehead move on my behalf. I went a long time without saving.
Oh, I was one of those.
The toughest mother fluffer, punched him in the face, and then it auto saved right before said punch, and so I'm basically stuck in an unbeatable area that I can't escape because they just see me and then go after me, and then I die before I can get to the next like gate or door.
Couldn't you go back like you? In games like these, you always have multiple saves. You hadn't saved for a while, but couldn't you have gone back like an hour in time?
I refuse to lose that 3 hours of grinding.
You went 3 hours without saving?
Yeah.
He's a man of principle.
This is a whole complete side conversation we're going to have right now, but you're playing a game.
I've grown. I've developed since this point in my life. That's
chaos energy.
How often do you save?
Now, every 6 milliseconds.
For
Illeagle?
me,
how about you?
But the problem is, specifically, here's the problem. Even if I was saving a lot, I was also overwriting. So new save files.
You're overwriting?
I'm always overwriting, yeah.
Oh, dear God.
I did the you know the radioactive area in Fallout 4, I believe.
Yeah.
Or it might have been 3. I didn't have any armor or anything, and I had almost no Nuka-Cola or whatever the anti-radioactive, Radaway.
Yeah.
Just beelined it to the dead center of that swamp to get to the guy.
Oh, I actually do remember you doing this.
And same situation. I was like, well, I'm stuck here forever. Never playing this again.
That's wild. You guys overwrite your saves too? I have like 90 saves by the time I'm done with an RPG.
first of all, there's probably a middle ground here, and neither of us are in the healthy spot. I mean, God of War Ragnarok is, because that's my touch point right now. Like those two games, God of War and God of War Ragnarok. Like I overwrite my saves because I know that their checkpoints are very forgiving. So like, if I save and I get into trouble, it's gonna be okay. Like I'm not gonna lose too much time ever, and I have no reason to go back to a save. If I have
it's not that way.
If I've saved, yeah. If I've saved, I have no reason to go back to a previous save. I've done what I've done. You know, you're right. It's probably not the same way in RPGs, but like, no, I've never just created 90 saves. That feels like insane behavior to me.
Well, no. So I don't just overwrite though. I basically every time it's just create new save, and then that's it. Unless
that's crazy. That's so much data. That's so much data.
Nah, I got the storage.
I think we're probably all wrong. Techtic,
I
in
feel like
particular,
I'm
sounds
less
like you have
wrong, but
Techtic has chaos energy. I mean, he's just like going guns blazing into situations, then ruining the whole game for himself. I don't think I'm doing that. You could argue I'm playing pretty fast and loose, but again, God of War, it's really not a concern. I maybe just don't play the types of games where save cadence is super important. With that said, my save cadence is at least once every half an hour. If you're going more than 2 hours without saving,
that's
messed up, man. You're asking for trouble.
For it.
I wish you all the best, Techtic, but that's crazy behavior. Elder Scrolls 6, by the way, I did look up. 2026 or later is when it's said to be coming out. It's been in development since 2018. Well, it entered pre-production in 2018. Skyrim came out in 2011, so it's been 13 years. 14 years? I can do math. 14 years since the last Elder Scrolls game. I'm sorry, if they say this isn't taking up our bandwidth and attention, I don't believe them. And like again, I don't have a horse in this race. I don't care. But if I can imagine if I was a fan being a little bit miffed, and then I'd probably just like go buy Oblivion Remastered and like play the crap out of it. So I'd probably recover pretty quickly. But yeah, remasters, very pro remasters. I think we're all pretty pro remasters. This came out April 22nd. And you did mention Nerdbomber. Love the shadow drop. Always love the shadow drop. Just here it is. Here you go.
It's so great. Everybody should do a shadow drop.
Yeah, who's ever been upset about that? Like, no one's ever been like, I wish they wouldn't have done that. It's just always a good option. If you know you don't need to concern yourself with getting the word out, which really fits well with a remaster, then just do it. Just put it out. And people will be happy that you did. So, this is out right now. Go get it if you are a fan of RPGs. Like I said, very heavy RPG, but looks like very well executed based both on what I see here and what my memory of watching my brother play the old one is. Let's talk about Bride Hard. So Bride Hard, this is a movie trailer we got in the past week for a movie that I believe is going straight to Netflix, or is this is actually coming out in theaters? The other one we're going to talk about later is going straight to Netflix.
Actually theaters.
We got Rebel Wilson, we got Anna Camp, both of them reuniting from their Pitch Perfect days. We have Justin Hartley, who, let me tell you how I know Justin Hartley. I watch NFL football, and he's in some CBS show called Tracker, and I've seen about 1 billion commercials for it. That's the only reason I know who he is. This is a movie in which we see Rebel Wilson playing a maid of honor for the bride, who is Anna Camp, getting demoted from maid of honor down to bridesmaid. You hate to see it. At the wedding, during the bachelorette party, it's revealed that Rebel Wilson is a spy of sorts, secret agent, and she goes off and has to execute a mission, which is why she gets demoted. During the wedding, as is often the case, the wedding gets invaded by terrorist thugs of some kind.
As is often the case. Hilarity and chaos ensues. This movie is coming June 20th. Miss me with this one. That's my overarching
You're not
opinion.
here for it?
You're not.
I'm not here for it.
I'm here for it just from the fact from the creators of Pitch Perfect. I mean, it is just a fun comedy, good time. Who's not into that?
What I've been saying for I feel like 3 or 4 years now is that we have lost the art of appreciating the just generic comedy movie. Everything has to be a blockbuster. Like, not every movie can be a Sinners with 100% Rotten Tomatoes score and breaking box office records. Not everything can be like that. You gotta have some summer comedy fillers, and this is just ripe for the taking. This is something that you go to a drive-in and you have a little drink with your friends at the drive-in. You're kind of all talking through it. You're not really paying that much attention, but you're having a good time because it's just weird, funny nonsense that you can take in on a summer night. And that is what we need.
I feel like this is so if we were looking at a pure comedy, I would agree. I think this is a movie that's going to try to do action and comedy, and it's going to fail both. That's my overarching fear.
21 Jump Street.
There was also
21 Jump Street was extremely rare. I agree. It's a great counterpoint to what I just said, but it's a rare example.
There was that Chris Evans movie. It was an Apple movie. I don't remember what it was called, but it came out. It was like direct to streaming, I want to say. It might have been like limited theatrical release. But we watched that, and it was not like something that is super memorable. It's not something I'd write home about.
Clearly not, because you can't remember the title of it.
No, I just don't remember the title. It was like Ghosted, I think, but I didn't want to say it if I didn't know.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. With Ana de Armas.
That was perfectly serviceable for what I needed it to be during the summer. It was entertaining. That's all I needed.
Here's the other mitigating factor, I guess. And look, I'm not here to slam on individuals.
Are you not a Rebel Wilson fan?
Not a Rebel Wilson person. I haven't been a Rebel Wilson person since the Pitch Perfect days, and I don't think that's fair to Rebel Wilson. Like, I think Rebel Wilson got done extremely dirty by the Pitch Perfect writers who, like, were basically just like, hey, this character is going to be a walking fat joke for however many movies. Like, I think that did not benefit her at all, and mentally for me, I have a hard time separating her from that, which maybe is unfair. But I also don't know that this movie is going to help.
Like, if you look at this role, though, so I'm trying to articulate this in a way that doesn't sound like I'm ragging on her, but she is not a bad-looking person. But I would say she's pretty average, right? She's not like a supermodel. She's not, when you think of like a spy thriller, let's be real, you're thinking like Yvonne Strahovski, or you're thinking like some supermodel, super like unachievable, unattainable beauty goals type person. And I think that this will work really well for her in this role, because in real life, super spies are just your average person. So I think there's a lot of situational comedy factors that could go right here.
Yeah, I think she's a fine cast for the role itself as we could see it. I just don't know if this is going to be a movie for me. There was another movie that came out fairly recently where terrorists take over a wedding, and it was J-Lo. Do you remember this movie? It was J-Lo and Josh.
Oh, Josh Duhamel.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember what it was called.
We did not watch it.
I think it was called Shotgun Wedding. I'm Googling it right now.
It might have been. I know we just said we're not going to hate on individuals, and I just stood up for Rebel Wilson a little bit.
And here we go. What's next?
I have a hard time taking J-Lo seriously ever
She's
since
not
she
a good
did.
actress.
No, she can do rom-coms okay, but ever since she did that, like, I don't even remember what it was called. It was like a
where she marries the guy in the
documentary.
audience. Oh no,
no, that was fine. That was her and Owen Wilson doing rom-com goodness. Like, that was a perfectly serviceable, okay movie. It felt like I was back in the 2000s. But whatever, like, weird, like, futuristic, like, This Is Me type movie that she did was, I can't look at her seriously as an actor. Like,
no idea what movie you're talking about.
Really? It was the one that like Ben Affleck produced for her in the like hot minute they were married, and it was like this whole thing, a whole ordeal.
I did look up Shotgun Wedding, and look, this movie does not equal Shotgun Wedding, but semi-similar premise.
Are we talking about the movie Ants?
44% on
She was
Rotten
in Ants?
Tomatoes.
Yeah.
51%. Never seen Ants. But this Shotgun Wedding movie was the most middling movie of all time. That's what I anticipate for Bride Heart. I don't think it's going to be bad. I just don't think it's going to be that good. I will say, Divine Joy Randolph, big fan. I
think you're talking about Atlas, by the way.
Atlas
came out in 2024. It's futuristic.
Oh, the J-Lo movie. No idea what movie that is. I think Nerdbomber might have made that up.
I did not. Just give me a second here. This is going to make me feel like I'm going insane. But this is not a Mandela effect. No, This Is Me Now. That's what it was.
This Is Me Now?
I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the show. She was like, it's like.
Well, I don't think I've been there. I don't think I was there for that.
It was a movie basically like dramatizing her and Ben Affleck's love story, but it was like in the future. It was very strange.
Trevor Noah was in this movie. Also Post Malone, Sofia Vergara. This is a made-up movie.
I want to know what
in any case,
is.
She does look great for her age.
Bride Heart, coming June 20th. I feel like we talk about the drive-in once a week on this show, but yeah.
I love the drive-in, and now it's summertime, so like get with it. Get with the program.
This would be a great second feature with the option to leave if I don't like it at the drive-in. I'm sorry to slam on this. I don't know that I have a whole lot of interest. It would have to get gangbusters reviews for me to wake up and look at it.
We can edit this out if you don't want me to blow up your spot, but you were an acapella boy.
That's
how
not
did you feel about
spot.
How did the Pitch Perfect movies hit for you?
Cringe. Extremely cringe. Because like
I think they're supposed to though.
And right. So that's the whole thing is like, I think that, first of all, I was in maybe this is outing me a little bit, but whatever. Like, I was in an acapella group essentially at the time those movies came out, and it was the absolute worst because everyone expected you to have seen all of them, which I only saw the first one. And everyone kept saying, like, excuse me to you, like, all the time. And I always thought, and you're right, Techtic, it's supposed to be cringe, but, like, it was
when it's about you, when it's like, is this play about us? It's like not a good cringe.
Exactly. When it's cringe and it's about you, and also is like,
that's kind of like how people are always asking me if I'm influencing political opinion on our show.
Yeah, like
do you get
it's
that
not
all the time.
I certainly don't. It's not remotely demonstrative of the actual collegiate acapella experience. And like, granted, I would hope that no one watches that movie and thinks that it is. But also, I think a good chunk of people did.
You never did like acapella circles?
No.
No riffs.
Yeah, was it a riff off?
The riff off. I will admit, the riff off, pretty good scene. Best scene of that movie. Is it realistic or demonstrative of the experience? No. And now I'm sounding like a douche who was like in acapella and like is offended by Pitch Perfect. I really wasn't. I was more so just annoyed by it because I was like, man, I wish this movie would have came out any other time than like the time that I was involved in this, and everyone just kind of, like I said, kind of assumes something about it because of this movie. So thank you for opening that wound. This movie comes out June 20th, 2025. It's got drive-in written all over it. So we'll check in when it comes out around that time, see if we're gonna hit that up. And we'll take a short break now at the halfway point of our show before coming back to talk about the Thursday Murder Club. Before we take our short break, though, I would be remiss if I did not shout out our fantastic Patreon producers, Mr. Stephen Keller, Mr. Lloyd Weldy. Both of them were on the show pretty recently, chatting with us about the Nintendo Switch, about Murderbot, about many other things. You can see those episodes, hear those episodes, I should say. If you scroll just a little bit back in our backlog here, hopefully they had a great time joining us. They got to join us as a result of their Patreon producership on the show. They support us at the highest of our 3 levels of Patreon support, which is the night level. They get that occasional guest spot on the show, as well as, of course, access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and input into what the secret segment topics are. We just wrapped up a secret segment talking about Nepo babies, so you can head over and check that out on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. There is also a Squire level of support, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment and vlog, and a page level, which gets you access to the monthly secret segment. But you want to be that night level. You want to get the shout out every week on this show and the access to all the benefits that we have to provide. So again, that's patreon.com/onlinewarriorspodcast. Thanks again to Stephen and Lloyd. We'll be right back to talk about the Thursday Murder Club.
Welcome aboard Too Vague Airlines. We're cruising here at 40,000 feet. That might be too many feet, but what do I know? I'm not really an airplane. I'm a podcaster. Actually, I'm a co-podcaster. I'm the co-host of several episodes of the Too Vague podcast. If you haven't heard it, you're missing out. Check out the Too Vague podcast. Any place podcasts do whatever they do.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned off the fasten seatbelt sign. For your continued safety, Too Vague Airlines requires that you keep your seatbelt fastened at all times while seated. But while you're seated, you can tune into the Too Vague podcast, TWOVAGUE, on your favorite podcast services and enjoy the flight.
All right, we are back to talk about the Thursday Murder Club. Now, long-time or sometime listeners of this show are going to recognize the Thursday Murder Club because I brought it up on this show before. I've read 3 of the books and I'm currently in the middle of the 4th. Netflix has unveiled a premiere date and a set of first look photos for the Thursday Murder Club, which is an adaptation of, I imagine, the first book. I mean, you got Helen Mirren, you got Pierce Brosnan, you got Ben Kingsley, you have Celia Imrie. This is premiering August 28th on Netflix. We only have pictures right now, but I was hard over on talking about this because I love these books so much, and I'm big into this.
With how well these books have been received and the success of Only Murders in the Building, I am shocked that Netflix hasn't done this sooner.
Yeah, this is a true chicken and the egg situation because I don't actually know, and I should Google and find out what came first, Thursday Murder Club or Only Murders in the Building, because the premise is in some way very similar, right? It's old folks solving murders. I will say Thursday Murder Club is, I think, a bit different in the sense that the characters, and in particular the 4 characters we have a picture of, all have a very specific set of skills that makes them a great crime-solving team. In particular, Helen Mirren's character is a great cast because she plays a very hard-nosed former MI6 sort of British spy who has had inner workings with the KGB and all these, crazy spy adventures. You have Celia Imrie playing Joyce, who is a former nurse who has a lot of medical experience. Ben Kingsley playing a psychiatrist who's actually still practicing, and Pierce Brosnan playing, I believe, a former trade negotiator who is a little bit more of a roughneck. And they all bring a particular set of skills to a team that allows them to solve murders. The first murder and the basis of the first book, they are all at the same retirement community in Great Britain, and someone is killed on the property there, which is what gets them together and gets them to start solving crimes and subsequently solve crimes in future books. I am so hyped for this. I don't even know which cast member I'm the most excited for. I think they've all got it going on. Pierce Brosnan with a beard. I think Pierce Brosnan, let me just say, and this is not the point of this topic, you line up every single James Bond and you ask me to kiss one of them, I'm kissing Pierce Brosnan. Is that a hot take? Is that wrong? Who are you kissing? You have to kiss one of them.
Do I have to, though?
You have to kiss one of them.
One of the Bonds?
Yeah. One of the James Bonds. You
Can
got
I
T-Dalt,
not?
you got Sean Connery, you got Daniel Craig, you got Pierce Brosnan.
I think T-Dalt, honestly.
T-Dalt's pretty good looking. Pierce Brosnan, man. Something about him. Yeah, I mean, remember he was in Mrs. Doubtfire? He was the bad guy in Mrs. Doubtfire. Just a great actor.
This is going to be a hot take.
Oh, no. You're going to say he's ugly? That's crazy.
I don't think any of them are that attractive.
I mean, maybe attractive is wrong, but I think they're all great actors.
Yeah, they're all great actors, but they don't got it going on for me. I don't know.
Ben Kingsley could yell at me and it would be really effective. I think he'd be really good at yelling at somebody. I'm intimidated by him. Helen Mirren, I think, is just incredibly talented.
I even like older T-Dalt, though. I keep calling him T-Dalt. I hate you.
You're still looking at photos of T-Dalt?
I'm just like in Chuck, I found him just to be likable. Big fan, so.
Celia Imrie is, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right. She is the most unknown of these 4, and that's probably giving her short shrift here. But I have the least sense of her ability or sensibility. She's been in The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, The Diplomat, a bunch of other recent things. So she's certainly out and about as far as acting is concerned. She was also in Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. So has a lot of acting credits to her name. She's the one I'm most curious to see because her character is also the de facto narrator of the books. So I think she's of critical importance. But it is worth, like you said, the old folks solve murder thing. It may be worth digging into why that is such an effective trope at the moment because, yeah, the proof is in the pudding for sure. I love that Netflix is buying into this game, buying into murder mysteries. I always love murder mysteries. For those fact-checking at home, the Thursday Murder Club came out in 2020. Only Murders in the Building, Season 1, premiered in 2021. So if we're checking receipts, Thursday Murder Club was actually first to the game. And I'm sure the timeline there is too tight for one to have directly influenced the other, but it's certainly a renaissance of sorts. Now, this is maybe a little off topic. Did you guys watch A Man on the Inside at all? Are you familiar with that?
I did not.
Yeah, no.
Man on the Inside is a show that Netflix put out starring Ted Danson as someone who goes into a retirement home to solve a crime. And for whatever reason, that one, I tried a couple episodes and couldn't get into it. So I guess I would say it's not necessarily a foolproof plan to make an old person solve a murder.
Did that get canceled or is that still going?
I think it might have just been a single season, but I don't know for sure. And I can't really Google around because I don't want to be spoiled. Although I just did Google, and season 2 shooting has begun. So, long story short, it is still going on. They're great shows. It's a great premise. An old person solves a murder. Their old people are very wise and have a lot of life experience and are very learned a lot of the time. So to me, it makes a lot of sense. So again, August 28th, this is coming out. I will for sure be hitting the couch to watch this, and hopefully you guys are as well. I'm aware that topic was mostly for me, but I really did want to talk about it because I love those books so much. Can't recommend those books enough. If you're looking for something to read, in particular during the summer, they are fantastic. Let's move on to What Are You Up To Wednesday. This is the part of the show where we talk about what we've been up to. And I'm going to defer this week, as I think I often do, to Techtic. Techtic, why don't you kick us off here? Let us know what you've been up to.
So I'm probably going to be stealing this from Nerdbomber.
Steal away, my friend.
But it is the thing that I am most hyped about over this last week. We played Cult of the Lamb. It has been updated since its initial release to have local co-op, and it's basically an Animal Crossing meets dungeon crawler roguelite. It is absolutely fantastic. It's from a sort of a top-down perspective, and you've got to churn through all of these various dungeons to beat the ultimate, I guess you'd call them the evil quote-unquote gods, the gods that aren't your god, because you're obviously worshiping your own god, and to beat them and then bring resources back to your land to then build up your cult, increase your following, and then thus increase your power based on, how much loyalty points and things like that you have. This game was done very, very well. There's the constant collectibles and the power-ups and things that keep it fresh and new, and ultimately just very rewarding. However, I have a confession to make. We were playing this on medium mode, and we don't mind it being a roguelite, dying and having to work back and continuing to grind through that. That is fine. But whenever you die, just everyone calm down. Whenever you die,
I'm calm.
Whenever you die, you not only have to start over, but also in your cult, the resource management thing, you lose loyalty. And so it becomes very, very, very impossible to manage both. And so we switched it to easy mode, and it makes the game so much more balanced and rewarding.
I do have to point out, I think you can probably get by on medium if you don't care about your followers. And we made the mistake of, at least I made the mistake of caring way too much about individual followers, which I think goes against what they intend for you to do in the game. But at least I got very attached to some of our followers. And then when they started becoming like non-loyal, or at one point, one follower murdered another, and I was
cold blood.
My gabbers were flabbergasted. No, wait.
We had to sacrifice people.
Flabbers were gasted.
It was just...
Yeah, it's not good when your loyalty drops and then you have to start like killing people off, and I didn't like that, so we switched to easy.
And it would be fine, but on top of all this, people will just die of old age as well. So like to get any semblance of following when you're constantly going against just what is the normal clock, disappointing people fighting, it is virtually impossible to manage it all.
And they definitely intend for those difficulties to come up. Like they have a dissenting game mechanic where when a follower loses faith in you, they basically turn on you and then try to spread lies about you to the other followers so they also lose faith. And that's a whole game mechanic. But you know what? I was really upset that my red buffalo, or whatever it was, my red Fozzie, was just like spreading dissent, and I was like, I don't like that.
He got sacrificed.
He did get sacrificed, but then it broke my heart because we had built a relationship.
Techtic, you betrayed the cause.
I don't care. Actually,
I don't know what to say to you.
This is the one instance where I will say the gameplay is worth it, and I actually encourage you to play this with your partner.
Yeah, we've talked about this game on the show before in various contexts.
And we've interviewed a developer.
We've interviewed one of the developers for it.
Go back and listen.
I'm certainly very interested, if only because I'm relatively into roguelikes lately. Roguelikes, roguelites, we always get that wrong, but whichever one is a good one.
With your partner.
And I'm pro-op to co-op, so I will certainly add it to the list. So you stole that from Nerdbomber. Anything else?
That's the main thing I want to talk about.
Well, my update is going to be likewise quite short, I think. I keep saying this, but just grinding on God of War Ragnarok, having a great time. I believe I just hit 40 hours. So I am going I don't want to say I'm going perfectionist. I'm certainly not going to finish it, but I'm not going to 100% it, but I am nearing the end. I have to shout this game out because it was one of two things that I didn't full cry, but I missed it a little bit playing this game. And there have been multiple points in this game and also in the first game that really just bring it with the emotion.
Emotional devastation.
And that's not, it's like that game and The Last of Us are the two games that have done that to me. And yeah, shout out to those games. For what it's worth, the other thing that made me miss this week was, incidentally, book 4 of the Thursday Murder Club, which is called The Last Devil to Die. Getting pretty poignant. And I think this is the last, I haven't actually confirmed this. I think this is the last book in the series. So it's kind of like starting to tie some stuff off in what is a very poignant way. But the other thing I wanted to mention, which is really just a minimal life update, and maybe it's funny when you listen to the past few episodes of the pod, I did pre-order a Switch too. So June 5th on launch day, I will get the Mario Kart bundle of the Switch 2. So expect to hear some updates from me on that experience when it comes about. I'm also getting together some stuff to trade in. I pre-ordered from GameStop. Shout out to GameStop. And I'm getting some stuff together to turn in and apply some store credit to the pre-order. The PS4, the PSVR, and like a billion Xbox 360 games, but not the console, are going into a large box, and I'm going to take it over there and I'm going to see what they will give me. And I'm really not sure what it's going to be. Yeah, I figure it's
is there a number that they can give you where you say, no, screw you, I'm keeping this?
Honestly, probably not. Hopefully they're not listening, but probably not. I'm just going to take what I can. I mean, I haven't.
You're getting rid of the 360?
No, the console I'm keeping. I'm just kidding. I have so many games. I've accrued so many games that I think if I were to go back to the 360, there's probably a handful of games that I would ever play again. So I'm kind of just trying to, clean out the old entertainment center.
And the PSVR, Gonzo?
PSVR Gonzo, I did have a really great time with that, but I haven't played it in ages. Any PS4 game that I have, I can just play on the PS5, and I only had a couple of pure VR games, so not a huge need for it. I actually don't know if GameStop is going to take the VR and provide and give me any credit for it. I read online, it seems a little ambiguous whether they'll take it because of hygienic stuff, which kind of makes sense, but I'm going to find out because it's just something that goes directly on your head, which is a little bit different. And then the PS4 I'm turning in because again, I can play any of those games on the PS5 if I want to. End of an era, starting to cull some stuff, make room for the new kid on the block. So I will update you guys as I get it. I also, and this is maybe a funny little goof, I was in line with a friend to get the console, the pre-order in place, and he was like, are you buying the Pro Controller? I was like, no, I'm not going to buy the Pro. I don't need it.
Well, the old Pro Controller works, right?
Well, yeah. So I had forgotten that detail, but I was still like, I don't need the Pro Controller. I got to the front of the line and I was like, yeah, put me down for a Pro Controller too. So, and yeah, after the fact, I did learn that the original Pro Controller also will work with the new console. So we're going to have two Pro Controllers, which is fine. I'll have one for me, one for my wife. So it kind of works out, but that was a bit of a spur of the moment decision on my part that I don't think I'll regret, but I guess we'll see. So June 5th, I will update you guys on where things are at. Hopefully I'll have the console by then. If I don't, something has gone horribly wrong. Nerdbomber, that leaves us with you.
All right. I got a few things. So blueprints. I'm shelving it. Random number generators can eat my butt.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That was a turn. That was quite a turn from the last time you talked about this. And also give me some pause because it's in the hopper for me.
I mean, there's a lot of people who don't mind the things that irked me about it, but there are some aspects where you can know exactly what you need to do. You can have reached your destination, but there are certain things along the way that need to happen. And yes, you can find things to adjust the random number generator. But at the end of the day, you can get, for lack of a better word, cock-blocked by a random number generator. And I got frustrated, so I stopped.
Interesting.
Oops. Yeah.
What a response.
So the internet is full of people who think it's a 10 out of 10 game, who maybe there are things that I have not discovered that make the RNG completely irrelevant. But at least for me, I think I had put 20 hours in and I felt like I was reaching my destination and just getting frustrated that the right things weren't coming up for me, and I was annoyed. So after a certain amount of time, like, I feel like 20 hours is respectable. I enjoyed my time with it. I think it's a really brilliant premise for a game. I think people who love escape rooms and puzzles are going to love it. And if they have more patience than me, they'll probably love it and won't care so much about the RNG aspect of things. But for me, it was just eventually it just got on my nerves. So
yeah, see, this is interesting because you're both. I can appreciate what you're saying because I've had that experience fairly recently with a couple of games where it's like, I love you and I love what you're about, but I need to set you and myself free.
Yep.
Like that's a tough arrangement, but it's one that I'm familiar with. What you're saying about the game, though, like, yeah, it leaves me in a very difficult situation because there are things you're saying that I'm like, okay, yeah, it is still the game for me. And then there are things you're saying that I'm like, do I have more patience than Nerdbomber? I really doubt it. So like, I
think you have more patience in like mystery puzzles. Like, you're an escape room guy and I just am not. And
I sure
am. This might going into something that was basically like a roguelike escape room setup. Like, I don't think this game was necessarily like targeted at me in the first place. So
sure. Well, good to know.
I think for you, you'd probably still get a lot of fun out of it, and you'll probably end up solving it and have more patience with it than I did personally. But
Nikki may be giving me too much credit, but for the moment, I'll take it.
The other thing is that I want to talk about, we watched Gladiator 2. It's finally streaming for free on various services. I think we watched it on Amazon Prime because it's included with that now. And like, it was fine. There was a lot of, I don't want to give away spoilers.
It could have been better.
Right. There, like, the acting, I had no issues with the acting. Pedro Pascal was in it. Fucking love Pedro.
Oh yeah, he's the bomb.
Yeah, bomb.com. But there were a lot of, like, I got to be honest here, and no shade against Denzel, but everybody else is like stoic Greek accent, and he's just like playing himself.
Denzel kind of like wearing a toga. Yeah.
And so like that was a little, he plays a fairly major part in the movie, and that just kind of took me out of it a little bit. But also there was just a lot of like coincidental stuff that had to happen for the movie to exist. And I feel like they could have had the same story without all of that, and it would have been a little bit better for it. That said, like, I'm not mad about it. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it. It was Gladiator 2. It was exactly kind of what I expected. It just, some of the story beats kind of disappointed me. And then, last but not least, we started watching Hacks on HBO, which it's a half-hour comedy about Gene Smart plays a stand-up comic who has a residency in Las Vegas. And there is a young, I think she's a 20-something screenplay writer who basically gets outcast from LA because she made a dumb tweet. And her agent hooks her up with Gene Smart's character because they both kind of need each other. Gene Smart's character, Deborah Vance, is basically kind of getting kicked out of her Vegas residency and needs to revitalize her career. This writer obviously can't get a job doing TV anymore. So they come together, and it's really, there's a lot about comedy, but it's also a lot about their relationship and two kind of loners finding each other, even though they're vastly different ages and generations and stuff like that. I'm enjoying it. I think there's a lot of moments where I'll look over at Techtic and he's kind of like, hey, because it's about comedians and the humor is great.
Is very like witty one-liners, and I like that. It's not, in your face. It's if you're listening to the dialogue, you're gonna have a good time.
So I would definitely recommend it. And the nice thing about it is the episodes are like a tight 30, which chef's kiss.
That's great.
Love a good half hour. And I think it's won some awards. I would check it out.
Mom and Pop Illeagle, very into this show. I've heard great things about this show across the board. It's on the list. I haven't gotten around to it. It's good to hear that it's as great as people say.
So when you're done watching the latest episode of The Last of Us on the Max app, which one quick second to say, they change their logo like every 6 months. What is happening there? But you're on the app. You're done watching The Last of Us. You've cried. You've sobbed. You've been scared. Your heart rate's going. Go over to Hacks.
No, it's time for bed at that point. I watch Last of Us at 9 and it ends at 10, and it's time. Someone's got to tuck me in.
That's fair.
But it's something that will happen at some point for sure. Because like I said, I've heard it's a great show. The premise seems up my alley, so it's just a matter of time at this point. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode, the latest episode of the Online Warriors podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed what you listened to. You can head over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a review. Hit us up on YouTube, Blue Sky, Patreon. Head over to the Patreon, patreon.com/Online Warriors Podcast. If you want to consider giving back to the show, spread the good word. Enjoy the first week of May and enjoy the May flowers. And we will see you right back here next week. In the meantime, stay safe and keep on podcasting.